This is Totally Awesome Tuesdays with Jen Walker, just acknowledging the best tips and tricks for entrepreneurs to save you time, money, and energy so that you can make the impact that you're meant to make in this world. Today, I'm going to introduce a 4-part series that I'm going to be doing over the next few weeks. So what this 4-part series is going to focus on is the productive power of being a woman, unleashing that power, and why every man should know this as well. So about 4 years ago, I hit a massive breaking point. Biggest burnout in my body that I've ever experienced. And I've run ultra marathons and I've had mono in the past, and this was mono times 100. It was something that I honestly did not know what to do with. I had a hard time getting out of bed. I was so physically exhausted, yet my mind was so excited. It was right around the time that I started my business. So it was really a very challenging time for myself. I kind of had to weigh like what I could actually do with my body versus what my mind wanted to do. So as I was going through this and just kind of pushing through, I've always, in my past, I've been a type A achiever, pusher, doer. So I just reverted back to doing all of that. And I did the best that I could, and I kept on just moving the needle a little bit further and further until I talked to a great friend. And she introduced me to the concept of flowing with the moon cycle. At this point, it probably wouldn't have resonated with me if I didn't have any other options at this point. So when she introduced this to me, she kind of joked that she's like, of course you're tired. You are working like a man. And that really struck me because I had always been working like a man, always trying to keep up in sports and in business and things like that. So it really kind of struck me down. And so she started talking about the 4 distinct phases of the moon and how you can maximize those energies. And for me, I really liked the themes. I really liked the idea of preparing, opening up, and that's like what my phase was always like: charge, achieve, and then to do focus work, deep work, and then a rest. There was something about that, the themes of like, oh my goodness, I could kind of downgrade. I could, shift down for a week of the month to recharge so that I could do it all again. That to me was very appealing. So I actually started cycling my productivity with the moon. And this is about 4 years ago. And it was amazing. It was the one thing that actually kept me and my business going. So since then, I've been doing that. And a really interesting thing happened is my period actually started to align with the moon cycle, which I thought was just super cool, and everything was going that way. The one thing though, I was still lacking, and I knew that there was a piece to the puzzle that I still hadn't figured out about my health. So I dug in a little further, and where I kind of led myself down was into the biohacking realm. So biohacking with like Tim Ferriss, Dave Asprey, Ben Greenfield, things like that. So I started researching more about like what sort of things can I do for my body that I can get more energy and sustain more energy. And it was really interesting to me. So I went down this way. I did a lot of different things like intermittent fasting, ketogenic diet, high intensity interval training, cryotherapy, so cold immersion. Like I've done tons and tons of different things. And if anything, my energy actually got worse. And so I got really afraid that am I going down to that another burnout like I did 4 years ago? And I remember looking into a conference, a biohacking conference that was happening on the West Coast, and I noticed something very interesting. There was no women speakers. And so it was this realm that was dominated by men. And so I looked in and I literally typed in biohacking for women. And the one name that came up was Vitti. And to my surprise, I actually had her app. And to me, I was like kind of disappointed because it was all about syncing with your cycle. I'm like, oh, that's so basic. I want to do all the cool things that all the men are doing. And so, yeah, I dove into her work. I digested a bunch of podcasts where I was no longer disappointed. I was excited. I read all her books, and I've read everyone else in that space, what they have on the topic. And what I found out is that the majority of medical, health, fitness, and nutrition research is all done on men and also women in their post-reproductive years, so in menopause. And so, interestingly enough, when we take things that work for men and then apply them for women and test women, what we're finding is research that's actually adverse. So adverse effects and just completely the opposite outcome that we want. So from this, I've really learned that I'm not actually a mini man, that my body operates differently. And ladies, what's amazing is we have this inherent productivity power within our brain in biochemistry. And our brain in biochemistry changes by 25% over our 28-day cycle. So why am I talking about this? Why am I so fired up about this? I believe that every single woman and every single man needs to know this information. So why is it important for men to understand and know this information? I haven't yet met a man that doesn't have a woman in his life, whether it be a partner, a business partner, a boss, an employee, a sister, a daughter. And so men work on a 24-hour cycle, really super easy biochemistry that our world has adapted to. Women also have our circadian rhythm, but we also have what's called an infradian rhythm that follows the patterns of our hormones over a monthly cycle. And that is the missing step. So for men to know this, it has been so helpful for me and my intimate relationships. It's been so helpful for me and peers, knowing how to maximize their performance, and for a man to know then how to optimize and get the best out of me and maximize my performance. There's this really beautiful reciprocal respect and admiration that goes in there, and it just works out so beautifully. So every single woman needs to know this, whether or not you are menstruating or not, and every single man needs to know this as well, so that we start this dialogue. A really great metaphor is like when you get jet lag. So that is when we disrupt our circadian rhythm, our 24-hour clock. And if anyone's had bad jet lag, you know that you just don't feel right and you have this brain fog. Well, that's the thing that's happening for most women. They're not following their infradian rhythm. Okay? Most women are walking around in a fog and exhaustion, and the thing is, we have this inherent access to this power, this superpower. So stick with me for the next 4 weeks. We're gonna dive into the 4 different phases of the hormonal changes that happens in a month, and what sort of tasks, activities, and actions can we focus on during those phases to get the maximum results. So that's about it. You can pick up your a reference guide down below, so download that. That's what we're going to cover and throughout the week, so you can kind of see where we're going with all this, and also have a kick-ass cheat sheet going forward where you can post on your fridge or have on your desk, and you can just look and see where you're at and what kind of things would be best aligned for you at that time. So that's it. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next week for the first part of the series. All right, take care. Bye.